So I've been reading a lot of posts on Facebook and on Twitter about how the cabin crew responded to the emergency in the Cebu Pacific incident. A lot of passengers were complaining why the cabin crew did not respond properly, why they say they were frozen or they didn't know how to quickly respond to an emergency. What I'm doing right now is I'm just giving you an added knowledge, an added insight on what could have occurred in that flight. You see, for example, this was the aircraft, and on that incident, the nose landing gear collapsed, and then the aircraft tilted like this. In this kind of situation, a cabin crew cannot just evacuate. I will give you 4 scenarios where a cabin crew can evacuate without the captain's permission, because if you have to evacuate, you need to wait for the captain's command. Now, the 4 scenarios is 1, the breakage of the fuselage, and this one should be a major breakage, like the aircraft would be split in 2. That's one scenario. The second one would be ditching or landing in water. The third one is a really heavy smoke in the cabin. It should be really heavy. If it's a small smoke, you cannot evacuate. And then the fourth one is a big fire inside or outside the aircraft. So in this situation, okay, the nose landing gear collapsed, but it's not a major breakage in the fuselage. Fuselage means the body of the aircraft. So in this case, they cannot evacuate. Another reason why they cannot evacuate is this one is tilted, see? And there are 2 evacuation slides on the back of this aircraft. They cannot evacuate on these slides because the slides will not touch the ground. It's like falling from a first floor of a building to the ground floor, and it's not a beautiful sight. The thing is, evacuating passengers is not an easy thing. It is not a smart idea because, you see, I've done training for this evacuation slides, and most of the time people break their necks, they break their bones, they scratch their face because these slides were not meant for an amusement park. It's actually rough, and on this case, if passengers would be jumping on top of each other, they would be pushing each other, then people will get injured more. I've read that 165 passengers survived with no major injuries. Probably there were minor injuries but no major ones. So I think the crew of Cebu Pacific did the right thing by not opening the slides in the back. And passengers were also complaining why the crew were not attending to the needs of the passengers. They were not reassuring them. The thing is, the crew must stay on their doors. They must keep guard of their doors so the passengers will not go there, and probably one passenger would be so panicked that they would open the door and lead other passengers to jump on this exit. And it would have killed or would have injured more people. Another thing is, other people were complaining why the captain came out of the cockpit after 15 minutes of the crash. And they say that he was very insensitive and that he wasn't reassuring the passengers. The thing is, the cockpit crew, they have this long checklist. It's a big ass checklist that they need to do after an incident. In this case, they were probably doing some switches, turning this thing on, turning this thing off, because there was probably a fire in the engine and they have to extinguish that. So they do have some checklist to do. And one thing that I want to add is, if the crew were not able to reassure you while you were on this traumatic state, the thing is, if they were there and then all of a sudden the captain says, "Crew, evacuate," then they would be stuck in the cabin with mountains of baggages and things and frustrated passengers. And in the case that they need to evacuate, it would take more time because people would be pushing him, and who would open the door? If in case the evacuation slides do not deploy, who knows how to initiate that slides? the cabin crew. And if he's stuck in the cabin, then no one will open the door. So I'm not saying that Cebu Pacific did their best, but I'm also not saying that they did the worst, because they did help save your lives. And I'm not being paid by Cebu Pacific to do all these things, but I'm just giving some insights on what could have happened in the Cebu Pacific incident. So I hope you guys like this video, and thumbs up. If you disagree on anything that I've said, you are most welcome to write on the comments below. And if you agree on what I said, thumbs up. Thank you. Bye.